People who have worked on those fake ghost hunter TV shows, what goes on behind the scenes. I haven't worked on one. But one was done on a bar near my house that was supposedly haunted. Everything was based on flying things, glasses falling off shelves, beverage hoses flying off their places they're held. The crew proved there were ghosts by setting up a mock bar scene and putting salt around the bottom of all the glasses and left for the night with cameras. Sure enough, the footage showed all the glasses/cups moving around. And the salt barriers were all disrupted. It was like 100% of the glasses had moved in some shape or form. What the fucking show failed to mention is that the bar is literally under an overpass for a train, and at a train station. The moving items are just because trains are coming by, and the building is about 50 feet from the train tracks. Katie's Bar? Found my fellow Long Islander. I dated a guy who worked on Paranormal State and he told me that 99% of the spooky sounds and whatnot are added in post. Ryan Beale has had an interesting life since that show ended. Apparently he lied about having pancreatic cancer, sold tickets to a show that kept getting indefinitely postponed, arrested for simple assault against his boyfriend, and faced felony charges for stealing leased property and receiving stolen goods. He is also a recovering drug addict. Ryan Beale. I only watched one episode of his show and he's the #1 reason I didn't watch more. Guy seemed like a major douche. Zach Baggins from Ghost Adventures is a douchebag. There's even a Facebook group Zach Baggins is a douchebag. I worked on one for a week, this was about 4 years ago. The hunters invited a psychic, not sure if that was what he called himself. This guy was a big asshole, and thought he was the shit. Big ego. Anyway, they were hunting in a haunted house, and this guy was doing a walkthrough before taping. He went into the whole routine. Cameras were not rolling, it was just for staging and getting acclimated. During this time I was at Video Village and could see/hear what was going on. He was in an upstairs room and began to feel a cool breeze. He made a big deal about it and insisted we start rolling. We did, and he went on and on about how room temperature drops mean a spirit. He started asking crew if they felt the breeze as well, they did. Finally the first AD, who was sick of this guy's shit, told the guy that the breeze was coming from the open window in the other room. The psychic threw a fit and stormed out saying we were all amateurs. Sounds like a prime nominee for biggest douche in the universe. Okay, let's all just take a big step back. Not literally. I used to work as a gardener near a foreclosed insane asylum. Shitty job, but I'm an immigrant from Mexico, so not much choice. A bunch of asshole kids were making a TV show about hunting ghosts or something, and they tried to get me to give them an interview about all the spooky shit that I've seen. I told them I've seen nothing and suggested they fuck off. Then they gave me $20 and I did give them an interview saying that I've seen a ghost. Last I heard of them they were to spend a night inside, but I don't know what happened to them, although I did hear the footage was released. Sounds like you had a grave encounter. It was a really scary. I did a tour in the Portland-Shanghai tunnels. Our host told us that one ghost show put dirt on the floor and squeezed against the brick walls of a completely open, finished basement to give the illusion of narrow, decrepit tunnels. Yup, I got that in my tour as well. Fuck. I read that I sneezed on the brick walls and was so confused and grossed out for a second. I work and live in SE, Ohio. I've seen a few episodes of a particular show that investigates monsters. It shows the team going to all kinds of different counties and places. But the actual footage is normally recorded within a 25 miles radius. There are lots of oil tanks in the episodes. They mark the county and township on the safety emergency/ID tags. So a well-trained eye can see that most of the footage is shot in the same area of SE, Ohio. Turns out the real monsters were the production crew all along. Pulls off mask, turns out it was Old Man Bailey all along. Raro. And I would have gotten away with it too, if it weren't for you meddling kids. That Ghost Hunters show did an episode in a large, old building where I work. Rather not say the name. I laughed out loud throughout the episode at the idiocy. For example, They were taping in a freight elevator. Damn thing is in need of repair and has been for years. When it did a little jolt just before taking off, the hosts insisted that was supernatural in origin. Nah. That's what it does every time it moves. And it continued from there. Every single thing they said proved ghosts had a perfectly simple explanation. The company I worked for loved the publicity, even though it was complete nonsense. Maybe the freight elevator ghost just takes his job really seriously and never misses a chance to make it lurch. I was hoping you'd say the freight elevator ghost takes its job to the next level. I need to dig around to find it when I am not at work, but Brandy, one of the regular investigators on Ghost Hunters, had a lot of thoughts she shared freely after leaving the show. She basically said she didn't believe in any of it and that as the series went on other investigators started making up more and more BS so they got screen time. I hope this fits here. I used to work for a company that had a few different properties/buildings. One of the properties did not get much business, so it was usually just manned by a receptionist. The usual receptionist was this older eccentric gal, who would also smoke a lot of weed on the job, probably due to the boredom/isolation of being there. On numerous occasions, she would tell me about how she was 100% convinced a ghost lived in the building. She even named him Matt or something. Anyway, she got the bright idea to call up a ghost hunter show and invite them up to film, which they jumped at. Mind you, she did not ask management for permission. Everything was agreed to, but on the date they were to show up, for whatever reason she flaked out and stood them up. Apparently the ghost hunter people showed up and were banging on the doors for a couple hours in the dark with no response. Fast forward a few weeks when I'm talking to the GM when he gets handed a letter. It's a bill for $1,600 from some production company. Half of me wanted to get out of that office ASAP, but half wanted to stay for the lulz. The look on his face when he learned what happened was fucking priceless. The crew was ghosted by the nutty receptionist. I used to love those shows, not that I believed them, but after a while got tired of every episode being like, Person A, SHH, did you hear that? Person B, no. Listen to what we caught on tape. Tugtring Geftrov just Cub show. It sounds like a young girl with a German accent saying she has to find her doll that she lost in 1884. Oh. You have to pretend that what you're doing is worthwhile in order to keep the energy up on the cast/crew. I've been a few where it was acknowledged that it was all BS, and let me tell you, it makes for a truly miserable filming experience. I imagine it'd be a way more fun job with a bit of suspension of disbelief. You're stuck there, why not get a little spooked? I've been to Tombstone, Oz several times when growing up, maybe around 10, brothers were around 12 to 16, and my dad got me and my brothers into the Birdcage Theater late at night. Thinking midnight plus. Just one dude got us in for like $80 and a case of beer. Anyways, some of the exact shit that happened in a ghost hunter show that happened when I was there. Like shit falling over or loud bangs. Ghost hunters were all convinced it was a haunting, and I did too when I was a kid. The guy that got us in just started bitching about Oldwood and how the place is falling apart, lol. Not on a show, but I was watching one of these shows while my friend who was a wildlife biology major was studying for exams. The guys on the show were making a big deal out of a ghost talking to them, and all of a sudden she perked up. That's a insert technical Latin name here, frog. We looked it up online too, and sure enough, identical sound. To me it sounded believable enough. It was a sort of freaky groan that could have been a ghost attempting a word. But it was pretty hilarious. It was just a frog. They spray the whole place with ghost spray before they start to get rid of any real ghosts. Go on. Yeah. I sell the recipe online for those in the need. But it's top secret stuff, so if I give it away the feds might figure out who I am. Just 15 easy payments of $19.99. We'll also accept a Bitcoin. User forgot to include BTC address. Just send me a lighting payment. I'll get it to them. Almost all the ghosts are trapped by producers at other locations and released in places the location scout thinks are spooky. After they are recorded, the ghosts are trapped and returned to storage until the next taping. It's really a shame about the exploitation and poor conditions reality shows allow their ghosts to, well, not live in, but. We adopted and rehabbed one of these ghosts when a local ghost hunting production was shut down. They put these poor ghosts in these tiny little cages where they don't have any room to haunt or move things. It took a lot of work, but now Mary is happily haunting our attic space and no longer shoves things off the table to get attention. Follow-up question: why do the hunters always talk like they're going to beat a ghost's ass? Show yourself if. Like, maybe it's not a malevolent spirit. Maybe it's Dave from the deli who got trapped in this dimension.